Right, Jess, welcome back to Cheltenham Town. What have you been up since you left the club in September 2008?
Basically, it's been quite an eventful time. In September 2008, once I left, I was going to emigrate to Australia, which was quite a big move. Everything was set up to go at Christmas time there. I had a job, house, and everything. And my wife developed breast cancer 2 weeks before we were going to go. So for the last 3 years, it's been a matter of rehabilitating my wife and getting her through the chemo and the therapies and the treatments. And myself, I've been working at university and kind of research projects in education, a lot of sports science, and working as a regional scout for John Ward at Colchester.
Yeah, so you're coming back to Cheltenham Town now. How did that return come about?
Basically, I've still had contact since I've left with people like Ian Weston, who's different class in the role he does. He basically asked for advice on different things over the last couple of years and asking different things about fitness, nutrition, this, that and the other, and Mark East asked to speak to me about a couple of things, and from that contact developed, and he asked me would I be interested in doing something next year, and we moved forward. So it's been quite an eventful period. I spoke to him in the summer. We've had a lot of contact during the close season where we've looked at pre-season programmes, psychology elements and how to move forward.
So what's your exact role going to be now throughout the season?
It's going to be a multitude of sins where I'll be looking at the fitness, the match analysis, the psychology, and just impacting where I can at the club. It's like anything, Cheltenham Town's a small club. If you look at every member of staff, there's a multitude of roles we all do, from helping the kit man with the kit to picking up the cones after training. So for me, it'd be first and foremost, match days are going to be the most important, where we look at the warm-up, do the analysis during the game, feedback to the manager and the assistant manager at half time, and then move that forward. And if you look at the pre-season programme, I've developed that in conjunction with Ian Weston, Neil and Mark, and we've looked at the different elements and tried to put new concepts in and move it forwards to where we were before.
Yeah. Players are back in pre-season training on Friday. What can they expect? This is the first day back, and then for next week as well.
I think it's important to get back on the 1st of July because that's historically the first day of pre-season's always been. From that day, it'll be a matter of familiarising each other with staff, new players arriving, giving kit out, and then getting them aware of what pre-season's about and what the different phases of the pre-season will be, what to expect in the pre-season, and start training and get back into it. The first day the manager's going to take, and I'm sure it'll be an eventful day to say the least, and then from Monday all systems go.
Is there going to be anything specific new that you bring into the table this summer that maybe the team haven't done before pre-season?
Hopefully yes. Football's football, you play with the ball, there's 22 players, but there's new concepts and new research that has been brought in that we'll be looking to input into the club. Things like strength building, which is not about the strength of the player itself, but building on the player's ability levels and the strengths that player possesses to enhance them and moving forward. Looking at people like Andy Gallner, what his strengths are, enhancing them and making them a better player. If you look at fitness levels, we've got a programme for the first couple of weeks will be endurance based. Then we're working on the aspects of speed endurance, and then from that we're working on strength, power, speed. So by the time the season comes, we'll be match fit and ready to go. If you look historically at the fitness results, I want to analyse where we were, and that's where the pre-season programme's been developed from. We've got a number of fitness test elements built into the pre-season programme, and we're going to move that forward then and look individually at players to enhance their performance rather than the team as a whole.
There's a few lads left from when you were last at the club, but it's pretty much a new look squad. What do you think the sort of realistic expectation should be for the season?
I think the way Cheltenham Town's going to look is we've got to move forward at the rate the club can. Okay, when I first came to the club, John Ward as manager, and if you look at the player base he came into, it was totally different to what Mark has come into and Neil. If you look at realistically, you had Michael Duff, Shane Duff, you had John Bruff, who were experienced centre halves, apart from Shane, who was just learning his trade. You had Jamie Victory, who's one of the best left backs in the league at that level. You had John Finnegan, Grant McCann, you had Martin Devaney, you had Paul Grayson, Bob Taylor. You had a number of experienced professionals. Mark was at the club when I first came there as well, so you had Mark as well, and you had Archie. You had a number of people there who had seen it and were different class at that level. So John had to come in and organise them and to build from that. If you look what Mark's come into now, was a different player base. The fans should be over the moon in the club for what he's achieved in stabilising the club when he first came in there and stopping them getting relegated to the abyss of the conference, where there's a lot of clubs, a lot of money, which Cheltenham would have been hard pushed to compete with, to where they were last season. It's a massive leap what he's done, and all we can hope for now this season is to build on that platform and be realistic. If you look at every club in the Football League, the ones that are successful, it's got a philosophy behind it, an ethos behind it. So you look at Swansea City, for instance, which is just down the road from where we are, John. Kenny Jackett stabilised the club. There was Martinez then who moved them forward with the style of play. And if you look at the way the chairman's appointed every manager since, it's about that style of play where they've looked at passing game, a game that suits their philosophy. So Paulo Sousa has done that, and also Brendan Rodgers has moved them forward again to the Premiership. If you look at people like Exeter, which we've got to take a look at and look at, that's a great example of a club moving forward. Tidsdale's been there a number of years, built up slowly and gradually from the conference to League 2 to League 1, and it's small steps every time. Being realistic, that's what we've got to do. We've got to build on where we are, the platform we are, and move it forward. Look at the player base now. When Mark Yates was first here, he had one player there, Marley Watkins. Now, he's got a number of players to build from this season. He's lost one of his better players to Crawley Town he can't compete with. Now, he's got to look at that and look at building that player base up. And that's a slow period. It's slow. It's not done overnight. It's not. You haven't got that nucleus of players to build from, but there's good players at the club that can move it forward.
Yeah. Once again, Cheltenham were going to be one of the favourites for relegation. That's something the club have been used to in recent years. Even the season Cheltenham got promoted in 05-06, they were one of the favourites to go down. So that won't affect the club, will it, at all?
Cheltenham Town is always going to be tagged with who we are. We've got to look at it and we've got to move forward. If you look at clubs in the history of the game, right, the ones, we've got the spirit, and that's what the chairman's created, the manager's created. He knows. If you look at Steve Cottrell from his reign and John Ward, they created that siege mentality that we at Cheltenham Town, and we're going to fight our way through everything. We haven't got the money and the financial power that other clubs have got, so we've got to look at other aspects. We've got to look at improving what we do off the pitch as well as on the pitch. So examples like psychology, improving the players like that. We look at fitness, improving the players that way. Match analysis, using that to improve the players. All we can do is utilise what we got to make us compete with the clubs that have got more money. If you look at the clubs that have come down, Plymouth Argyle, they're a massive club. Look at the fan base there. If they come up with administration, they'll get 6, 7, 8,000 minimum every game. What's our average crowd? 2, 3? It's different to compete at that level with that crowd, but we've got no problem competing, but we've got to be realistic. There'll be certain parts of the season where there will be hard times, but we've got to get through that together, and I know the fans of this club are different class at getting behind the team and being loyal, because that's what they've been over the years. They've had great success since they've been in the league. How many years have they been in the league? 12?
This is the 13th season now.
13th season now. So what we've got to do is build on that. We're a young club still in the league. We haven't got hundreds of years of Football League experience, and we've got to build the fan base up as well as everything else to become a force.